Thanks, Hexy. Let's wrap up OCS Korea, the Chosin Reservoir scenario. Okay, so we're going to make a statement here, which I made it to my buddies over here online that are chit chatting and making funny faces and flipping me the bird, but they're muted. American air power in this scenario rules. So there's the reservoir. The majority of the Chinese forces were attacking along that reservoir on the east and the west sides. A couple of North Korean forces up there. Tried to send a couple of Chinese forces down here. And this, one Marine unit or one infantry regiment can take care of all of this by themselves in a defensive position. So the victory conditions overall were taking these two city hexes right here. All right, they're not even going to get close to that. Got an armor unit sitting over here just waiting for anything to come down that road, but the Koreans will be pushing supply to the max if they tried to do that. And since they only have one truck and a bunch of mule carts, or foot carts, I'm sorry, people carrying, bamboo shafts over their shoulder with bags of supplies hanging off the ends of them, I don't know, whatever it was, there's no way they're going to keep that supplied. And you're only getting 2 supply points a turn anyhow. So you really probably needed to focus it at one place, which would have been in here where the majority of the forces are. Now, the Chinese did have a tiny bit of success, but then as I was building and not doing much attacking, doing literally no attacking with the Marines and the infantry, because the air power, which the Americans have 8 potential sorties, as long as the aircraft are refit. And of course, again, that will depend on how the turn initiative goes. And the Chinese did have one where these 4 groups were not, there's infantry under here, these 4 groups were not DG'd. And, well, this side over here wasn't. These guys were. So we tried to attack over here. But let me tell you something. One Marine unit or infantry unit, this is infantry, underneath a hedgehog in mountainous terrain against even 6 infantry divisions is close to impossible to get out. Pardon me. It's close to impossible to get out of the defenses they're in. And I kept trying to focus on 2 stacks on one. I never even touched this guy. But I kept trying to, early in the game I did, but I kept trying to focus on one here and one here. Now, the Americans did lose. They lost a Marine regiment or battalion, a regiment, I can't tell, and 2 infantry ones from the 7th. But as long as that air power was doing its job, I kept these 4 stacks, like I say, DG'd almost every turn. The Chinese artillery, they got quite a bit of it, but I could not get that one good barrage hit to make them. I think I might have had one. And of course, these guys are only 1 step. So if you hit them, and that's what happened to those other ones that did get eliminated, it did. You get 1 good hit on a barrage, and you roll on that 1/2 thing. If you roll a 4, 5, or 6, or 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is, there's a step loss. So, but that didn't happen very often because of the supply that was coming in. Not quite enough for you to shoot 68 strength points of artillery and have to burn eight tokens of supply, because then you don't have enough to make the attacks with, because all of these guys are 3-step units. So they're not anymore. I'll tell you right now, everything in these 2 stacks, everything's down to 1 step left. So they're already half. And then when they're DG'd, they're halved again. Then they're attacking a hedgehog inside mountain terrain. Okay? Never had to get the American armor involved. These 2 tank battalions are sitting here in a low hills, so that if I get to choose the option of terrain, they're going to get that ×2. So I left them sitting there. Kept the artillery, was able to get this guy out, thank God, before anything happened. Kept the artillery here. Never had to use them, maybe once or twice. What I was burning the American supply points on was these hedgehogs. And this is as far as the Chinese have gotten. There's only 1 turn left. They've gotten as far as here. There's no way they're getting down here to take these 2. Honestly, I don't know how you would. Unless there's some off-the-wall special rule that I'm missing, that they get like +8 column shifts to attacks, and I don't see that in the special rules anywhere, okay? But like I say, trying to move the supply around, I think if I played this scenario again, I'd give up on this east and west push. Everything would be in here, but you're dealing with the mountains and everything. So when foot moves through the mountains, it takes all their movement points to move 1 hex. Now, good thing about foot is they can move through those zones of controls. All right, so that was no big deal. But like I said, you weren't going very far. And then you're thinking about, oh, God, I got to maintain trace supply, because if it takes all their movement to go 1 hex in the mountains, that means that trace supply would have to be 2 hexes away where they can get, because you remember the rule for adjacent is fine. So, yeah, so we're going to wrap this one up here. There's really not as much left in this force here of Chinese. There's no way they're going to push these guys out of here. There's 1, 2, 3, 2 10 strength units, 2 9 strength units, 2 armor battalions sitting right here, and a massive artillery. And then you got 2 sorties of jet fighter bombers and 6 fixed wing rotary fighter bombers, and a couple of carriers sitting out here in the ocean or in the sea, whatever that is. Yeah, so let's wrap this one. OCS Korea. The Chosin Reservoir, I think it's 5.7, which I understand the United Nations in reality won this thing anyhow. And they were trying to evacuate, from what I understand, for the most part, just trying to keep the Chinese out, I guess, while the evacuations were going on, I'm going to have to guess. So I consider this pretty thorough American victory, even though they took the only total unit losses in this game. All right, comments, notes, tips on what you can do as the Chinese player in this game, or the Korean player, North Korean player, whatever. How to handle the supply in this one here since it's so minimal. And, yeah, what's the use of having all that artillery if you're going to burn all your supply tokens and can't attack anything? That was tough. I had maybe 1 or 2 good turns where I get some good attacks off. All right, let's get this posted so y'all can see what's going on. Talk to you soon.